The bench, as much as the squat and the deadlift, require a fair amount of symmetry, and you're asking your feet to put force into the ground and accept force back from the ground and come up in a perfect fashion, but truthfully it's not going to happen, right? And the same goes with the bench. So now you're putting weight on a bar and you're lifting, you want to decline this weight and bring it back up symmetrically, but if your parts are not symmetrical, it's not likely going to happen. And I don't want to give you guys a complex about it, but go in the gym, watch an aerial view or even an axial view of someone's bench. You always see the bar tilting more on one side.
You know, it's so crazy you say that, because I posted a video of me squatting, and I think I mentioned it in the caption itself before anyone else.
Your bar dips, right?
Huh?
Your bar dip.
Oh, you saw it, right?
Well, no, it did happen.
Or you know
all
what
the time.
it is? Yeah. Where I had the bar and one is like. I'm squatting and it's slightly slanted. I never knew until I watched that video, but it is slightly slanted.
Right, and it doesn't feel that way, right?
Not at all, no.
And like I said, this can be coming from something from the foot as to why the bar sits asymmetrically, right? But the point is, like, you know, I don't want to go on a tangent, but we want to make sure we put as much of as we can. We put blocks on those asymmetries so they don't lead us to significant dysfunction that we look terrible when we're squatting. But
so what do you mean by a block? You mean like
I mean find a way to account for that asymmetry. So to use you as an example, your right foot like to collapse a little bit, that caused some kinetic chain dysfunction going up. So we learned how to build some tension in that foot, set that foot up in a good position, which gives rise to better ankle, knee, hip, shoulder function. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean by putting up blocks. So that because of the pathways of least resistance, the weight and force are going to want to travel in a direction. Just make sure you don't allow it to go as far as it's going to, and which is going to cause you injury, right?
Yeah, I've definitely been a lot more conscious of foot positioning during my squat, especially on my right foot. So as far as bench press, how does that asymmetry play into that?
You know, we can chase this back to the center. Like, how are we setting up our core? Right? Are we setting up our core, and is our rib cage a little bit tilted? Is it lifted? Is it lifted and tilted? Now, the shoulder blades, they are contoured to the rib cage, right? So if the rib cage is shifted, maybe, or is not sitting the same both sides, naturally those shoulder blades are not going to sit same both sides, right? So now you're giving rise to the actual glenohumeral joint, the shoulder joint, which is the shoulder blade is the house for that, right? So it fits on like a golf ball and tee scenario. So if the shoulder blade is situated differently, you can suspect that the shoulder function is going to be asymmetrical, right? And you can see that in the way things come down. Some people are at the top, they're way up here, and some people, when they come down, they're way further back, and the bar dips a lot like that. So I have suspicion, if we're using mechanics as explanation to why injuries happen, because lifting is such a mechanical process, then we're going to blame the fact that, you know, in some position of that lift, that certain structures are seeing forces that they probably shouldn't have. Going back to the example I used about the shoulder, if you don't have adequate rotation in that shoulder and it's coming down, it's going to start pulling and riding out. And I think most of us, whoever tried a lift that was probably too heavy for us, the first thing you do is set yourself up asymmetrically, or your shoulder dips, so your dysfunctions kind of like reveal themselves. So when you load up those asymmetries, and and subsequently load up certain structures too much because of those asymmetries, I think that's where
they start to show up more.
Yeah, sure. You know, we're talking about frictions, rubs, pulls, pinches, stuff like that. That's going to really ultimately cause you pain, and be given a name as bencher's shoulder.
For sure.
Right?